Moonbugs. Today we're going to be talking about liquid lipsticks. I've been completely obsessed with liquid lipsticks for probably about the last 2, maybe 3 years. Once you've tried one, you will probably never ever go back to your standard conventional lipstick. I've got a few different ones that I'm going to be trying here today. 3 of them are ones which I use regularly, and 3 of them are completely new to me, so we're going to swatch them and see how they look. It's also a good opportunity to find out what clashes with my hair at the moment, because I only dyed this yesterday. I'm really loving it. You might have noticed that I cut it as well. I got bored and cut my hair. But yeah, I really like the way it's looking. So I'm going to dive straight in and go for one of these MUA Luxe lipsticks. I have used these before. In fact, the first ever liquid lipstick I used was an MUA one. They're really, really good. They only cost £3 as well, which is super, super cheap. And at the moment, if you go into Superdrug or onto the Superdrug website, they have a 3 for 2 at the moment, so you can get 3 lipsticks for £6, which is really, really good. This time I have picked up, I'm going to go for this one first, which is Symphonic, and it's not usually the sort of colour that I would go for. It's kind of pale pastel-y. I usually tend to go for darker colours or reds, but I actually had a similar colour to this in the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca, like the Christmas lipstick set, and yeah, there was a really similar colour to this. I didn't think I was going to like it, but it actually really, really suits me, so I'm going to go ahead and swatch this on my lips for you guys so you can see what it looks like. It smells really, really good. I can't describe the smell, but it kind of reminds me of something that I used when I was a teenager. Yeah, I don't know what this smell is, but it's really good. So, because this is a light colour and the consistency is quite thin, I thought I would have to build it up a lot to get a good colour, but it's actually applied in one coat really, really well. I'm just going to wait for it to dry to see how velvet it looks. From my experience, the Reckless one looks very, very velvet, but the only problem that I have with that one is it's not really suitable if you're going to go out and eat food and drink a lot of liquids, because it does tend to get a little bit clumpy. I haven't really had that problem with any other liquid lipsticks, but then most of the other ones I've purchased have been a lot more expensive than £3. But in my opinion, if you want to give them a try and see if you get on with them, I would definitely recommend going for some of the cheaper brands out there. So far, I really like the way this looks. It hasn't completely dried yet, but I can feel it drying. It doesn't feel like my lips are puckering up. Some of the cheap liquid lipsticks you use, they can make your lips pucker and they look kind of like a cat's bumhole. It's not really that attractive, but yeah, this one's looking good. I am a big fan of this one so far. So I'm thinking that they've improved the formula on these newer ones, because the first one that I ever tried, if you rubbed sideways, it would get clumpy and come off. But this one isn't doing it nearly as much, so I feel like this one would last a lot longer. Possibly even if you ate food and drank water, it might even stay on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this with an oil-based cleanser, which is what I do especially for the more expensive ones, because I have a couple here which I'm going to show you that are absolutely impossible to get off unless you use something with oil in it. So I'm trying to go from light to dark. The next one on my colour palette is one of the Makeup Revolution Salvation liquid lipsticks, which have been out for absolutely ages. And for some reason, don't know why, this is the first time that I'm buying them. I've bought a ton of Makeup Revolution stuff you guys have probably seen in my hauls and things. But this is in the shade Rebel. The sticker actually isn't on the bottom, but I know the name of the shade. And oh, it is there, it's just on the side for some reason. And it's kind of like a bright pink. It's not quite neon. It's more of like a deep pink, I guess I'd say. So I'm going to give this a try. I've never used these before. And again, the Makeup Revolution ones are really cheap. They're only £3. A really good tip for you guys if you do want to try wearing liquid lipstick is put down a nice balm before you apply them, because the one disadvantage of liquid lipsticks is they can be quite drying on your lips, especially if you're not used to wearing them. So I would advise that. Also, if you exfoliate, if you're using a cheap one, it might show up the bumps on your lips. So if you exfoliate beforehand, that can also help to make it look really, really polished. So this has a much thicker consistency than the MUA ones. It still isn't as thick as the original one, which I remember, but yeah, it's definitely thicker, which makes it kind of easier to apply in my opinion. It's gone on in a really solid colour. I didn't need to touch it up or anything, just one coat at the moment. I'm just waiting for it to dry. It's very, very bright. It looks a lot brighter on my lips than it does in the tube, in my opinion, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it dries because this again is a liquid to velvet finish. So this is fully dried now. I don't think it looks as matte as the other lipsticks do, and I really don't feel like it looks very velvet. I'm not super impressed with this. It has started to feather around my lips already, and on the top half of my lip, I don't know if you can tell, but it looks really, really patchy. So I'm actually going to go ahead and apply a second coat and see if that makes it look any better. One thing I will say though is once it's dried, I really like the colour. I always find this with liquid lipsticks is a lot of the time when I first apply it and it's all shiny, I really don't like the way that it looks and I think it's not going to suit me, but the second it's dried to a matte finish, I usually love it. I've now applied the second coat, and again, I'm not all too happy with this lipstick. I feel like it's made my lips kind of pucker up, and you can actually see the cracks in my lips pretty badly. I'll just do a close-up so you guys can see. So I feel like you can see the cracks in my lips. It also takes a really, really long time to dry, much longer than the MUA ones did, and much longer than any other liquid lipstick I've ever used. And it also feels really heavy and thick on my lips, which I'm not keen on. Like, I'm very aware that it is there, so I feel like if I was to rub it, it would probably come off. Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad, but I don't feel like you could eat food or go out and have drinks with your friends and not have to reapply this, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. Next, I'm moving on to one of my all-time favourites. It's a Kat Von D, as you guys may recognise from the packaging, and this is Vampira, which is one that I've been loving for a really, really long time, and I feel like it's just one of those shades that really suits everyone. I know it looks dark, and you guys might be thinking, well, dark lipsticks don't really suit me that much, but it really does look great on everyone. My mum also owns this, and it looks super cool on her too. I don't know if I'd mentioned it, but all of the lipsticks I've used so far have exactly the same applicator. They all seem to be the same size, and I just find that doe foot applicators work really well with liquid lipsticks. They just apply well, they've got the right kind of angles to get in all the right places, and they're just much better than like lip brushes. I've recently seen those Kylie Jenner liquid lipsticks, and a lot of people have been complaining about the brushes, and honestly I think they look like shit. So I don't understand why you wouldn't just use a doe foot applicator, because obviously if they work for all these other liquid lipsticks, why not go for one of these instead? I absolutely adore the consistency of Kat Von D's liquid lipsticks. They're not too thick, they're not too thin, but they feel super duper smooth when you apply them. They don't feel as drying as other liquid lipsticks that I've used, and they definitely don't feel heavy. Like, I quite often forget that I'm even wearing liquid lipstick when I go out. The only problem that I sometimes have with Vampira is the colour with it. Sometimes when I apply it, if I've put a little too much around the edges, it will come up much darker than the rest of my lip will. Sometimes that can actually work to my advantage because it looks really good, almost like a lip liner if it's slightly darker around the edge, but you just have to be a little bit careful with how you apply it to make sure that it doesn't look patchy, but then usually if I do apply a second coat, it looks perfect. And that's one other thing that I love about these lipsticks is they dry so quickly. The other lipsticks, especially that Makeup Revolution one, it must have taken at least 15 minutes to actually dry completely, whereas this, it's probably been a minute or so and it's already dried to a beautiful, beautiful matte finish. And it really goes without saying, with something this quality, obviously you're not going to be paying £3 for it. In fact, it's very, very difficult to find any Kat Von D products in the UK. There is one website in particular, which I'm not going to mention because I don't really want you guys to go there. I've heard a lot of bad things about them. The prices are extortionate for a start, but I've heard a lot of people not even getting the items that they've ordered, or things just taking months and months to turn up. I think obviously they're ordering them as someone orders them from an American website and then putting the prices up. So you might as well just get them from Sephora. Sephora do actually ship to the UK now, which is how I got hold of mine. It is a little bit expensive, especially when you get customs charges and things thrown in, but the thing that I like is they actually tell you what the customs charges are and they charge you for them then and there, so you don't get a horrible surprise at the post office. So I think when I bought these, I'm pretty sure it worked out that I paid about £12–13 for them. That's including the shipping charges and the customs charges as well, which isn't that bad because I have bought other liquid lipsticks of a similar price, and I think the quality of these is really, really, really good. Now, the next liquid lipstick I'm going to talk about is a very, very special one. It is basically the god of liquid lipsticks, but weirdly enough, it's not that well known in the UK, possibly because it's an American brand, I really don't know. This is the LA Splash Lip Couture, and I believe this is in the shade Poison Apple. Yep. These are almost impossible to remove from your lips. You can eat food, you can do pretty much anything you can think of, and it is not going to come off, to the point where it's actually very, very difficult to remove at the end of the night. Even with an oil-based makeup remover, I really have to scrub to get it off my lips. So if you guys want something that is really going to stay put, no matter what crazy shit you're getting up to, this is going to stay put. I really don't know what they put in these, because some liquid lipsticks have quite a pleasant smell. This just smells like paint thinner. This has a slightly different applicator. It's a little bit thinner, it's almost flat, but it doesn't really have that doe foot shape at all. This, again, like the other good liquid lipsticks, has quite a thin consistency, so it's really easy to apply. So as I said, this stuff does not have a particularly pleasant smell. It smells like chemicals crossed with sort of like an alcohol that you wouldn't really want to drink. So if you can get past the smell, it's absolutely amazing. It does dry quickly, and like I said, it is impossible to move. I will prove to you in a second. Once it is dried, I will try and rub it off my face, and you guys will see that this stuff, what do they put in it? It's amazing. They do it in a range of colours as well. I've been trying for a while now to get my hand on, they do a blue one, which is really, really beautiful, but I'm really struggling to find it in the UK. However, LA Splash, apparently, are at IMATS this year. I was really disappointed because they were supposed to be at IMATS last year. I don't know if they were only there for one day, but I got there and I looked everywhere and they just weren't there. So hopefully I can go this year and buy a shed ton of these things because they're absolutely amazing. I can't rave about them enough. I believe I paid $11.99 for this. There are a range of websites in the UK where you can find them. I believe Cocktail Cosmetics stocks them, and I think Love Makeup also stocks them as well. But I mean, all you guys need to do is just Google, type it in, I'm sure you'll find them somewhere. So this colour in particular, it does cause a little bit of puckering, but I mean, if you pull a weird face when you're applying it, that won't happen at all. I didn't do that, but I mean, if you part your lips like this and apply some lipstick, then it's not going to pucker as much and it's not going to be as obvious. I do find that the LA Splash lipsticks that I've used so far, they're not as matte as a lot of other ones, but I mean, that's not a massive problem for me because I still think the colour's really nice. I find it really difficult to find red lipsticks that suit me. Anything that has even the slightest little bit of an orange tone tends to make me look like a clown. Like, I kind of feel like I look a little bit like the Joker right now, but I feel like it's the hair as well. But yes, I really, really like this shade, and I think it's dry now, so you guys can see this. I'm rubbing it pretty hard. Nothing is coming off. Now let's give it one big rub. Again, nothing is coming off. It's amazing. It just doesn't come off. So I'm gonna have to go crazy with my oil-based makeup remover now, and hopefully it will come off. I mean, even with the makeup remover, I've taken a bit off, but it doesn't look like anything is coming off. I look like I've been sucking someone's blood. Okay, so that was a mission and a half, but I did eventually manage to get it off. I do find that the lip coutures are probably the most drying on my lips, but I do think that's just because they're so difficult to remove. I've saved the best two for last, or at least the best two colours in my opinion. I have got the MUA Luxe in the black shade, which is called Potency. I haven't actually used this before, but I'm going to use this before my final lipstick because I can end on a high, because I know the last one is actually really good. I'm really interested to see how opaque this lipstick is going to be, because I often find that anything that's cheap black lipstick is usually total garbage. So, why did I go American? I never say garbage. Total rubbish, total crap. I don't say garbage or trash. Where did that come from? So, it has the same doe foot applicator, which is good. It also has the same smell as the other MUA lipstick, which is weird because the first one I ever tried, it just kind of smelled like chemicals. So I like that they've got a scent with it, it's really nice. So far I really like this. I actually like the way that it looks now, which is really unusual because I don't usually like black lipsticks that look shiny, but I feel like this does look really good. One thing that I've found though is that it seems to take a lot of work to get the colour to look even before it starts to dry. It did look a little bit patchy as I was applying it, but I feel like I've done a pretty good job so far. I'm just interested to see how velvet it actually looks once it's dried. So the lipstick is now finished drying, and I'm actually really impressed with it considering it was £3. Well, technically £2 because I got it on offer, you know, 3 for 2, but it looks good. I can still smell it, which is kind of nice. But yeah, it looks really, really good, especially in comparison with the more expensive lipsticks that I've used. It looks really good. It also doesn't feel like it's going to rub off too easily either. Yeah, I mean, there's like a teeny weeny little bit that's come off. But this stuff is pretty good. In fact, I take it back, this stuff is really good. Well done, MUA, good job. Now, last but definitely not least, is probably my all-time favourite liquid lipstick. This is Kat Von D's liquid lipstick in Witches, which you guys have probably seen an awful lot on my channel. You might even be getting sick of seeing it, but I'm gonna show it to you again. So this was another one that I bought from Sephora online, and I think it cost me about £12. Some of Kat Von D's liquid lipsticks have a scent, but I find that this one doesn't. I don't know if it's just because it's a darker shade, but if anything, it does have a slightly chemical smell, but nothing anywhere near as overpowering as the LA Splash ones. This one's definitely more easy to apply than the MUA one, but I think that is less to do with the consistency and more to do with the applicator. The Kat Von D applicator, even though they look very similar, this just feels like it's of better quality. It has very, very fine bristles on the doe foot applicator, whereas the MUA one just has a slightly plasticky, it's a harder feeling, and this just seems to do the job a little bit better. And what is really amazing is that it's almost dry already. I can't get over how quickly these dry. It's really, really good, especially if you're in a hurry and you just want to chuck on some lipstick and get out the house. I would not recommend the Makeup Revolution one for that because it took like 15 minutes to dry, which is way too much. I mean, it didn't even end up looking that good anyway. So I would advise paying slightly more if you want a good liquid lipstick, although I'm really, really impressed with those MUA ones, so I would super duper recommend that you guys go and give those a try, especially considering they're £3 each and 3 for 2. And they also come in some really nice colours, but I really wish they had a blue. I still feel like I would always choose this one over the MUA, but I definitely would never have anything bad to say about that MUA one. I would very much like to try and go out for a meal and see how well it would stay on in comparison to this one, because something that I do find is if I go out drinking with the girls, it does tend to come away ever so slightly just on my bottom lip, And obviously because it's a black lipstick, it's much more noticeable than if you had a red lipstick or a pink lipstick, where you're not really going to notice if it does come off there. It's very, very obvious with this one if anything does start to come off, but that's the only place this lipstick ever comes off. I also recently wore this to a mushroom head gig, and they had some water drums at the front, and I was right in front of the water drums, so I got absolutely drenched. And this lipstick looked perfect by the time I finished. I was sweating, I was covered in water, I was jumping around, I had arms in my face, and it looked perfect. So nothing but amazing things to say about this lipstick. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little review slash haul today. I would also like to know if you have personally tried any liquid lipsticks, and do you have any preferences? What colours do you like? Is there one liquid lipstick in particular that you're absolutely obsessed with? Personally, I would really like to try some of the Jeffree Star lipsticks because I've heard nothing but good things about them. I'll be seeing you guys next week for a Curio box review. I'm really excited for that because they always send such beautiful things. See you guys then. Bye. Face. Oh god, I fucked that up. I have a crazy line on my eyebrow. Right, moving on to eyes. I'm just going to put down a base colour of my Supernatural palette. This is the lightest